What up, Bars Nation? Welcome back to another episode of the Dropping Bars podcast. I am your host, Kimron Corion, and I have a special, very special guest on with me today. Somebody that I've known for a while. We've worked together in the past. Bars Nation. I have with me Miss Kimalene Regis. Kim, welcome to Dropping Bars.
Hi, Kimron. It's great to be here and great to finally be invited on your show. I've been looking at it and I'm a big fan.
Oh, thank you so much. That's amazing to hear. So Kim, why don't you go ahead and tell the Bars Nation who is Kimalene Regis?
Wow, okay. Now that could be defined many ways, but for our context today, I'm Kimalene Regis. I'm a marketing consultant with Kimalene Regis Consulting. So you and I are in the same space, Kimron, and we have worked together in the past. We have had a similar journey at a beloved organization, and we both struck out to do different things. So that's what we have in common.
Yes,
So it's been a great journey being part of our former employer, which is Arisa Credit Union, where we both worked for a while. And Cameron went on to bigger, greater, more public things. And I am going on to some in my own way, creating Kimalene Regis Consulting in 2020. So my agency is about 4 years old next year.
oh, that's amazing, and I mean, and congratulations, congratulations on your journey thus far. And as we speak about the journey, I mean, when we were working at a riser, for those who don't know, all the grand marketing campaigns and everything you saw, that all those came from the mind of Kim, right? So Kim, why don't you um walk us through your journey of becoming this master marketer that you are. So like, where did it start from? Where did that interest in marketing come from? And just talk me through your journey to the point where you are now with Kimalene Regis Consulting.
Okay. I started off where a lot of people start off, interestingly, which is in a teaching fraternity. In Grenada, a lot of people start off being teachers. And to be honest, I love teaching, but I wanted a different way to teach people. And I think in this new dispensation of marketing, this is where creativity and learning come together. So this is why I really love the path that I'm on. So I started off as a teacher. I went to study abroad in the US, in Oklahoma to be exact. You wouldn't think that's where I studied. Most people go New York or go somewhere in
Yeah.
Florida. I was in Oklahoma. I studied there for about 3 years and then I returned. And my first job, I have to say, the credit union, first job was at the Grenada Public Service Credit Union then, which transformed into Risa Credit Union thereafter.
And Kim, my very first job after coming from my studies as well was also at a Rise Credit Union. So
Oh,
that's
wow.
well public service at the time, right? Now Ariza. So that's amazing. That's great.
Wow. The thing about credit unions, and this is not the platform to be prove the value of credit unions. However, they believe in people, and true to form, they believed in us. So, newly out of school, I got my first job marketing at Grenada Public Service Credit Union. And the thing about credit unions is that they're really the underdogs in the financial sector. Nobody thinks much about them. They think about them as big shops that just chug along. And in the space in Grenada where we were at the time, there was a huge opportunity for credit unions to grow in terms of visibility and for them to offer more of their services to a wider cross section of the population. And because the then Grenada Public Service Credit Union decided to rebrand and open its bond is what holds its members, what the members have in common, its bond, we were able to revolutionized financial marketing in Grenada, to be precise about it, because there wasn't anybody at the time actively competing in that space, for more visibility, for more members and customers, and changing the way we communicate to people, and with people. Most people feel, oh, you must have a bank account or you must have some financial service, so people would naturally come. But I think with the credit union sector being so in tune with people, they realized, and even then, our credit union realized that there is space to make people feel something about where they do business, where they have their finances, when it just being a chore to be done and a necessity.
Yeah, that's. I mean, that was beautifully said. That was beautifully said. You see, and that's the reason why Kim was so successful during her stint at Grenada Public Service, now Arisa Credit Union. That was beautifully said. So I know I want to jump deep into the marketing side of things now, as it relates to. You know what? I want to start off with some of the mistakes that you, in your experience, in throughout your career, what are some of the biggest marketing mistakes that you see business making, and how do you think that they can avoid some of those mistakes?
There are quite a lot, so I probably would stick to about three today. So first, not investing in marketing.
Yes,
That's the
preach.
first one. You see the complacency about people must buy from me, that has to go. Because in the era of competition, monopolies die, one, if they don't keep their visibility current and appropriate and engaged. So even if you're the only person offering a product or service, there is a chance that you will become obsolete just because of that. And so create an opportunity for other people to come in. One, so because of that, you decide not to spend on keeping your customers engaged or keeping your customers interested, right? So the second one, apart from not investing in marketing, meaning putting the money there, yeah, you
Mhm.
also discount your customers' value in that you don't think you need to be creative in attracting them and retaining them. Yeah. So, for example, if you sell sandwiches, you will not maybe even invest in distinctive a distinctive wrapping on your sandwich, just to make you look a little different from the competition. Yeah.
Right.
Um, and yes, there's complacency, but then there's also the thought that, you know what, I'm making enough money, I'm good. And it's not really about greed. It's about serving the people who use your product or service well. Yeah. And in that, you leave money on the table. Because if you're making 10% profit, you could be doing way better if you just put a little money aside to develop a marketing campaign, develop a marketing strategy, and just work consistently at it. Yeah. So the
Yeah,
first
you're.
one was
Yeah,
not investing. Two, taking your customers for granted. And three, I would think is not recognizing the value of differentiation. Yeah,
yeah. That's you.
not recognizing the value of that, because we can both be in the same space as Kimron and I are, and we intersect at times in terms of the products or
Yes,
services we offer. Yeah, but because we have a different way of getting a job done, some clients will gravitate towards him and some will gravitate towards me. That is why
exactly.
I think, when people are cautious about people in their space and people who compete against them, I think competition is a misnomer, because our businesses are all as unique as we are. Yeah. And even if you offer a similar product or service, a client will be more a Kimron person, or a client will be more a Kimalene person. Yeah. And that is where differentiation takes you away from competing actively in a particular space and being able to grow and develop your own product, your own service in a particular industry. So those are the three I would can call off the top of my head. Kimran.
No, and you raised such an important point in with the last thing that you said, speaking about competition. And now, when I decided to do this podcast, I started looking at other successful podcasts to see what are they doing, what are they doing well, and I noticed something very interesting. I noticed that there are many podcasters who are they're trying to build their podcast, trying to build their community, build their audiences. And then I started realizing those podcasters, you will think, okay, well, this podcast is competing with this podcast and this one with this one because they're competing for kind of like the similar audience. And then I see the host of one on as a guest on the other one, and I see, and then the vice versa. And I'm like, wait a minute, like these guys are supposedly competing, but here they are supporting each other. They're being guests on each other's podcasts. And it became very interesting. And I started thinking to myself, maybe we should stop looking at it as competition and more cooperation. Because, like you rightly stated, somebody might prefer your style, the way that you do business, or how you execute, versus how I do it or what I do. Somebody might prefer, okay, I like Kimron's style, so I want to work with Kimron. Or there might be an opportunity where we can come together and say, hey, there is this, let's say, big campaign. Let's come together and develop it. And I think that there is enough business out in the world that we can all grow, we can all develop. I mean, look at just looking at, for example, Grenada, and there is no business that is the only supplier of a particular product or service, but people tend to grow and develop. So so that's very interesting, an interesting point you made. And then something else I wanted to bring up before I even let go into the next question to ask you when we speak about the mistakes. Something that came to mind as you were speaking, it is the products and the services, because you spoke about differentiation. And I also, what started coming to my mind is having a good product, because if you don't have a good enough product, no amount of marketing can get it to sell. So there is the idea that if you have a crappy product and you hire Kim to market it, what will happen is it will just expose how crappy it is to a wider audience, right? So I think having a really good product is also a good place to be in. And so I just wanted to add that part. But Kim, do you see a difference between the way that a small business and a bigger business market their product and services? Is there a difference between small and large business marketing?
I do. And I do specifically because of the stage in business they're at and what their goals are.
Mm,
Not all small businesses want to get big,
right.
right? And first of all, we need to analyze what the business goals are before we even consider marketing for you, right? So that we know that the approaches we are using are those that are best suited to what you want to achieve. So, for a small business, if you want to hone in on a niche market and you want to build out that niche market to be able to build your share of wallet for this niche market, that may be a better use of your marketing dollars where you can get one person to utilize you for various service offering or various product offerings so that you have a large share of their wallet, as I said before, rather than a big business may just want lots of people to purchase one particular service or offering. Yeah. So
Right.
sometimes it depends on your goal as an organization. Yeah. But definitely in terms of spend, etc., the big businesses will eat up a lot more
Well,
money
yes.
in terms of resources. However, for small businesses, and here I'm going to make the distinction between small and micro. Yeah. For small businesses who probably have a particular resource limit, so they have, let's say, 20 employees. So they can only take out a certain amount of business to deal with in the first place. Yeah. Sometimes it makes sense for them to hone in on their current clients and market well to their current clients than to go out and actively look for new clients, which costs more money. Yeah. So for a smaller business, I would recommend initially to work with what you have, market to who you have, make them your primary target. And people that come in are just a plus. Added clients are just a plus. Added customers are just a plus. Yeah. And then when you start to reach out for those bigger goals, then you go more mass marketing. Yeah. Many people get very, should I say, consumed by having a lot of followers and a lot of views and a lot of
Yes.
likes. That's great, but for some businesses, that does not equate to money. There's just a lot of eyes on your product or service, but if those are people who are interested legitimately in your product or service, they'll never buy. You just have a high count. You have what people say, high mileage. High mileage and not to show for it. Frankly, that's
Yeah.
what it is. Yeah. So the people who are your clients, maybe your target clients, maybe your ideal clients. Yeah. So those are the people you need to work on. And similar people like those are those you need to target strategically for growth. Then after you can do the big box advertising and the mass media push-ups.
Yeah, that's so important. And I'm really hoping that people are who are listening that may have the small business or large business that they really take that into consideration, because this I think what you just spoke about is crucial. And something that you said is, especially in today's world where we have like social media and other digital platform that we can use. People sometimes get carried away with the amount of likes they're getting or the amount of views on the video, and like you rightly stated, unless the views or the likes or the comments, unless that is translating into some tangible business results, then those are vanity metric. It looks good, but it doesn't contribute anything to the bottom line of the organization. So the goal is not to look good on social media. The goal is to run a successful business. So I think, and that's one of the things that we have to pay attention to. Normally, when I'm consulting with anybody on the social media strategy, and they said to me, "Oh, well, our goal is to get to go viral, or to get like 100 likes or whatever on a post," and I'm like, okay, so then how does that contribute to achieving whatever your goals are? Because the first thing I do, in my social media work, I created something called the Crave Framework for Social Media Success, and the C stands for Connect. And I said, how do you connect your social media execution to your business goals? Because that's what's important. Unless there is that connection between the business goals and social media execution, then you don't want to be wasting time. And also, there needs to be a connection between the person executing on social media and the person setting the overall business goal, because there could be a disconnect. And then you start hearing social media doesn't work. Oh, we're
Yeah.
not getting any results there. Oh, we're not going to spend money on social media because of this big disconnect, right? So that's a really important point that you raised there. And it, you kind of started providing some little advice there for people one time. So I'm gonna ask you to, if you can go a little deeper and say, okay, well, what kind of advice then can you provide to the business community, whether it's in the Caribbean, in Grenada, the rest of the Caribbean, or wherever, because that's what the bigger audience of the podcast is, in the Caribbean base, and North America. So what kind of marketing advice would you give to businesses that are looking on?
Okay, well, I have another pet peeve that I'm going to share with you guys. Don't say I have a lot of pet peeves, but I have a pet peeve. Um, so I think sometimes businesses want marketers to work miracles. I don't mean it in any disservice to any business owner, but this is a rule of thumb. This may not be profound in any way, but it's profound to me. If there's nothing going on in your business, there's nothing to put on social media. If you are not creating or visualizing moving your business from one point to the other through marketing means, there is no marketing to be had. If you don't have a goal of growth, there's no reason to market. And most people have a goal of growth, mind you. So therefore, there's always a reason to market, right?
Right.
But first of all, I think that marketers have a challenge where um, people want their businesses to seem a particular way to the public, and they are not doing the internal work for it to be that way in reality, right? So if you want to demonstrate that your brand is caring, very interested in the community, all of that, we need to create or craft activities that show these things on the ground. And then we can mirror it on social media. So your brand ethos needs to actually exist for it to be shown. So one of as I said, my pet peeves or things I would advise businesses is take the time to work with somebody in marketing, whether it be part-time, a stint or whatever, to help you create programs and activities that you can bring in your brand into and then demonstrate on social media. Yeah. Because you don't want people having the experience of, oh, this is going on social media. And then when they go into a physical location that you own, it's nothing like it.
Yeah.
Right? It's almost a bait and switch. Oh, we're fun. Oh, we're helpful. Oh, we're nice. And then when you go into the the establishment, people barely lift their head to speak to you. You understand me?
Yeah. There's a
So that
disconnect between the experience.
there's a disconnect in the experience. And even though marketers can make magic, you have your end of the bargain to work on as well. It's a symbiotic arrangement between the marketer and the owner or the business person to bring whatever you want to show externally into the business. And mind you, the best arrangement is that it comes from the business onto social and into the public view rather than the other way around. But we can start wherever we are at.
No, that's important because the last thing you want is for a business, and you know what, many influencers do that. They curate a version of themselves that they want people to see online, but in the reality, that's not who they are. And the last thing you want to do is to make that same mistake with your business, where online you're portraying something that's amazing, and then somebody come to engage with you offline, and the experience is like, okay, well, what the hell, what just happened? So that's I completely agree with you on that. And um and again, it goes back to one of the points I made earlier on too. If you're not ready for marketing, then don't we don't need to be marketing. I mean, if you're not ready, if your product is not ready, your service is not ready, then we don't need to be marketing. And at the same time, it something that came to mind as you were speaking is something that you mentioned earlier as well, in the sense that, well, you made a reference to it, and it's something that happened to me, where I remember somebody, I was posting I mean, I post a lot of content online because I like posting content, I like creating content, and then somebody reached out to me and say, well, I know you post a lot about this topic. So I don't know if you offer services in that area, but this is what I'm looking for. And the thing is, I was offering services, but I was not promoting any of the services. I was just putting out content, right? So I wasn't even marketing, right? In that space. So like I even fell victim to this thing myself. So yeah, that's amazing.
But you know what? What you said there is very important, an act. People feel that you need to sometimes intentionally sell to market, and you don't. You see
Hmm.
some things that you do as public service things that you do just because you do it for the love of it, or ways people get to interact with you and your brand that isn't even conscious. So that's where things like PR comes into
Mm-hmm.
play. So you may be a business that sells shoes. However, you have a foundation where you give um, a shoe to every 100th person that comes into the business or something like that. Something just out of the goodness of your heart. And people, to me, underestimate the value of good intentions and goodwill in marketing sometimes. And that is what makes someone buy from you more than the fact that you have a sale for 10% off.
Yeah.
So there are different strategies that give you the same thing. Some of it in our context of marketing, we do all at the same time. So we do the free stuff. We encourage you to be visible in goodwill spaces. We encourage you to sell your tushy off, and we encourage you to be authentic in your brand. So marketing is a unique mix of all of these things tailored for a particular business or service. So what works for one may not necessarily work for you. So it has to
And
be something that is really aligned to where your business is, where you want to go, and your unique position.
that's absolutely correct. That's correct. So Kim, if do you have any advice for young people who would like to get involved or get into marketing? What advice do you have for young people?
It's harder than it looks. That's what I'm going to
That's
say to
great.
them. It's
That's
harder
so
than it
real.
looks
That is so real.
because people see the highlights of the marketing job. They don't see the hard work. And it takes a lot of hard work and long hours because by the time we finish our interview, Kimron is going to edit it and make me look my best self. And that's all you see. You will not see that I had 3 meetings before. I rushed home, put on some makeup, jumped on late, apologized, told them I'm coming in, and looked poised for you guys today. Marketers are sometimes the first to be at places and the last to leave, and make sure everybody gets home safely and make sure all the dots are dotted and all the T's are crossed for their clients. They're also the stop gaps. They are the people who make sure things don't fly under the radar, bring them up, put them in a light, and make sure the client gets what they want. Have hard conversations, break arrangements, create new ones last minute, and still try to stay on schedule. So even though you see lovely content passing across your screens every day, some you don't even pay attention to, you just scroll by. Um, Please note, it took hard work for each item you just casually pass by, yeah, to end up on your screen. Yeah, but if it's one thing, it's fulfilling because your clients get what they want. At times, most times we hope for you to stay in business as a marketer. And two, it's fulfilling because you can see growth and change in your clients. And that's what we all want. Positive vibes, growth, and hopefully we can be instrumental in the creating the next, let's say, Walmart or Amazon or something. That's what some of us hope for. We hitch our wagons to a client that's going somewhere, willing to work with you and willing to take the risks that you
Yes.
think they need to take in order to get where they want to go.
Fabulous. Listen, that was one of the most authentic response I've heard to a question like that. That's great. Thank you so much. So Kim, before we wrap up, how can people get in touch with you if somebody wants to reach out to you? They're looking at you on the podcast and they're like, you know what, I would love to work with you. How can people get in touch with you? And maybe just say like what are some of the general services that you offer? I know we kind of touched on it in the beginning, but if you can go a little bit more.
Okay, great. Well, you can visit my website, kimaleneregisconsulting.com. It's a bit of a mouthful, but that's what it is, people, at this time. KimaleneRegisConsulting.com. And we do marketing, specifically branding, project management, and event services for our clients. locally in Grenada and regionally as well, based on your particular need and where you are. We can service international clients as well. We take pride in having the human touch. So it doesn't matter what, should I say, service or initiative you want to execute. We are all up in your business because first we start with what you want to achieve. And that's important to us because we know it's important to you. And we take it from there in crafting strategies and then activities that will lead to you executing, getting to your business goal, whatever that is. So, in terms of my business, I'm female. So I think I like to say I have a female touch. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing for some people, but I like to bring the feminine into what we do. There's a bit of finesse and class, I think, when women do certain things. No offense, Kimran.
No,
Um,
I completely agree with you. I trust me. I am 100% with you on that.
all
I am very
right.
scrappy. I am very scrappy when
Oh
I'm doing
gosh.
stuff. You're very the poise and very classy with it. I love it.
But as I said, there are Kimran people and there are Kimalene people, and that's
Exactly.
where we leave it. All right. So my number is 473-424-9195. You can find it on my website. I'm also on Instagram and Facebook for the time being.
Okay, fantastic. And Bars Nation, I 100% endorse Kim. Okay, so check her out. So thank you very much, Kim. That was an amazing conversation. I really appreciate you taking the time of your busy day. I know you're rush home so we can do this. So don't want to take up any more of your time. Thank you so much for coming on. Bars Nation, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Dropping Bars podcast. Again, we were speaking with Kimalene Regis, principal consultant marketer at Kimalene Regis Consulting. And don't forget to subscribe to this podcast wherever you're consuming it, whether it's on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, Google Pod, wherever you're consuming the podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and share. So again, Kim, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Kimran, for inviting me. It's been fun.
All right,
Take
Mars
care.
Nation. See you next week, Mars Nation. Bye bye.